And you've never done something like this. Somebody who has been behind the camera for so many years.
No, it's my first time.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay.
So,
Interesting.
so with context, guys, this is one of my closest friends. We grew up together. His name is Kelvin. We call him Kelly, and I actually started my videography journey with him. So he's been. How long have you been doing it for?
Professionally, maybe only about 4 years, but we started off back in 2014 lah. So probably around 9 years now.
So been 9 years of
Nine
you
years,
doing
yeah,
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, correct.
Actually, you started a few years before me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So I'd say over a decade that you've been playing with cameras.
I was introduced in 2011 lah, but I started getting in more seriously in 2014 when I first got my first L lens, and then after that, when I went to uni, but I digress. We actually worked together back in high school. We had a team called I Know Graphics, and then it was the three of us, me, Brian, and Ian. And then after that, when I went to
Pretty sure we had two more members, but okay.
yeah. But the three principal members were the three of us. Yeah. But then after that, when I went to uni, I had my own team, which is called Visual Steps. And then during that time, we did our principal income was from marathons. Basically, we cover charity events,
Oh
running
yeah,
events.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's how we get the bulk
You
of
actually
our.
started as an event
Yeah,
photographer.
correct. And then after that, most of our income to invest in equipment was from there. So we had to run a lot. We had to chase runners. It's quite insane, lah. Especially for my partner during that time. He was Andy. He was a videographer, and I was a photographer. But I've always been a photographer, lah. Only the
Will you
past.
still label yourself as that?
Yeah, I actually love photography more, but
So if someone were to ask, that's your title.
I would say I'm a photographer.
First, yeah.
Yeah. But I also do video. I think everyone should be able to do both, but I'm more inclined towards photography.
You do specialize in event photography, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was that was something that you love doing.
Actually, my passion lies in wedding photography. Yeah, but honestly, in Malaysia, for Sarawak, for the matter lah, generally the bulk of the best industry that makes the most money is actually corporate events, which is why right now
That's the general consensus. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to be. Yeah.
Especially when your clients are multinational corporations like Petronas. They have unlimited budget, right? They'll just throw a budget at you and you just work with it lah, and it's quite good. Yeah. So but I love wedding, but the wedding industry in Malaysia is pretty competitive lah, I would say. So and the hours are very long. I think your viewers in Ireland probably would not be able to relate how crazy, especially Chinese weddings can start from 3 or 4 in the morning. And
I think that's something I want to. I have a few questions I want to touch.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I want you to just introduce yourself in a way of like who you are and like what makes you you. People always say like this is what I do. Yeah, so people always say, "Hi, my name is this. I'm working in this place. I've been doing it for years." Not that. You as a person, I know you as a person. Okay. I've known you for years, but people who don't know who you are. See, ultimately, what my thing is called is actually called Weekend Wisdom, and it is, I post it on the weekends, every 2 weeks, and it's to share insights of like people like you who are in this field, who have insights that most people who do the usual sort of job line they don't know here.
Okay, if that's the case, I'm actually retired already. I
not for long.
Yeah, arguable. But anyways, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a photographer. I think it's because I drew inspiration from this a lot of wedding photographers in West Malaysia first. So probably the top 2 or 3 that I can name right now is Mangkiat, Louis Gan, and JC Studios. But JC Studio now videographer lah. But so then I also wanted to be a wedding photographer then. So but then during that time it was very hard. It was very difficult.
What year was it?
I think it's 2016.
2016,
Yeah,
okay.
2016. So I was in my foundation lah.
Mm.
So I studied engineering. So but during that time, my parents weren't very happy that weren't very supportive of me being a photographer, videographer. I think generally the Asian consensus is, it's not that, it's not very as nasty as it sounds. It's not a very professional job because it's a very easy market to penetrate.
Yep.
As long as you have a camera. So they rather have a backup plan where I can become a professional with a
In the field.
certificate. Yeah. Testimonial. So I studied engineering. But then I still wanted to become a photographer. So I never let it go, and I was a part-time photographer when I studied. So during that time, don't have money so I don't have much money to buy equipment. So one way to invest is to work. So during that time, I met my then partner, Andy, who is now currently carrying my team because I've already retired.
So he's inherited the clients.
Yeah. All of my clients are now his. Actually, all my equipments are his.
You sell it to him?
I don't know. I just gave it to him. Just if he wants it, just take it. So
you give it to him for free?
No. I mean, like, it's still mine. It's just I
he uses
it to him.
Yeah.
Don't waste it.
I got
especially
you.
my drone. So okay. So people who know me, I love 1.2 lenses. So all of those are utilized by him right now. So backtrack. During that time, I had a few. I was into running, so that's how I got into the running business. Running charity event business. So generally, I have to name a few. Albert and Awang, who actually own running event management. So it's a big thing it's a big business thing in Kuching. During that time, now not so much. Back pre-COVID, running event was a very, very big deal in Sarawak. Not sure about anywhere else, but it was a very big thing. Almost every weekend you have a running event. About 5 to 10,000 people shows up. So you can imagine how popular it is. Almost every weekend.
You used to run as well?
Yeah, that's how I met these people. So then I told them, hey, you need a photographer or not? Then they were like, oh, okay, come cover it. So during that time, I make about 500 ringgit per event. During it, I mean, like, wow, fuck, £100 only, £100 only. But during that time, quite a lot of money. So I do it every weekend. So around 1,000 per weekend.
Yeah.
If one whole month's about 4,000, I can buy a lens already. So during that time, I did it for around 2 years. Then after that, it's quite difficult because you literally have to chase the runners.
Yeah.
It's about 5 or 10 kilometers. Then after that, slowly, I had the opportunity to meet my 贵人. 贵人, I would say, is like
mentor.
I would say my mentor, yes. In Chinese, we call it 贵人. Basically, people that help establish your business. And I would say Isabella from Spiral Events was my 贵人. So during that time, she also gave me a few parties, like rich people parties. You just cover their fucking event. So then I shot a few, then we worked quite well. And I was very happy to work with her for such a long time because generally her reputation in Kuching is that most photographers and videographers that work with her would switch. Will switch maybe, if they're lucky, maybe a year. But I've been working with her for about 3 to 4 years already. And then I started corporate work with her. And I worked with Petronas MLNG, which is the liquid nitrogen gas plant in Bintulu. Bintulu is a state in Sarawak. Sorry.
It's okay, that's explain.
The district in Sarawak.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So then I did all this, and then after that, I had a bit of money already. So then I could buy equipment that is more inclined towards wedding. So I'm very opinionated with equipment for weddings and corporate events. It should be very different. And then after that, I did weddings. So when I first did my wedding event, right, we couldn't charge much because all of our portfolio was corporate, even though I like to think that it was pretty top tier. So during that time, I was offered to shoot, and because one of the reasons why my team could go so long for such a long time is because of the way we package our services. Basically, my team is inclusive of photography and videography. Most of the time, if you were to engage wedding photographers or videographers, there are separate teams, which can be very expensive. So we provide one-stop service.
Sorry, would you recommend having fixed prices for services or prices upon inquiry?
Upon inquiry, of course.
Okay.
But then generally you should have a baseline lah. I mean, like if your client wants additional scope of works, you should definitely
Of course.
quote in. Yeah. But I think one thing, especially in Malaysia, right, that you must be very careful of is your contract.
Yep.
Contracts in Malaysia especially is very, 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 very particular lah. You cannot really, you have to really stipulate all of your services. If not, they'll just bypass you.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about Ireland. But
no, that's an interesting point that you brought up, because sometimes we don't do contracts. Sometimes we don't do deposits as well.
Dangerous.
But that's the general thing, is like you just give an invoice and it's respected upon.
A gentleman's word is very. I don't trust a gentleman's word because.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And it obviously is a cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
And then there's one thing actually that you told me about recently, or not recently, but a few years ago, that I was speaking to a friend about, and he was really mind blown about it. But I realized that it's a very Southeast Asian thing.
Yes.
We offer same day edits.
Yes, yeah. So same day edits.
That is crazy.
Same day edits are actually not a Southeast Asian thing. They are a Chinese thing.
Chinese.
Even in China, people do that.
Yeah.
Even and
the scale of that.
And then you know which country does it very well? Indonesians. So if you if you go search up on Instagram, one of my favorite videographers, Dina Rastika Film, which is he was a doctor.
Is he the one where they film the reactions of the people reacting to the same day edits?
Yeah, he does that. But what he does very well is he'll just carry a camera and you think like he was just fucking around, but then he puts like a prism in front of his lens.
Yeah.
Then he can film it very well. And it's just amazing. You can search it up. But people like that, they can make a feature-long 16-minute film in a day. It's insane. And not many people understand how difficult that is. Because I've done it. And then the worst thing is because in my team, I did SDE for both photos and videos because my partner is a very good executor. But he's not very particularly creative in the editing part. And we both unanimously agree that. So that's why I would take up the SDE of photo and video. So it's quite insane. But generally, how to get around this is I have to put a point that sorry.
It's okay.
Come. Go.
You want to say hi?
No. Yeah. Alright, see ya.
Good.
Yeah. Give it a minute. Go back to the dynastic and the SDE point.
Yeah. You have yourself on any.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much.
Proceed. So I think generally one of the ways to overcome this SDE is so I have to digress, right? I'm not a very creative guy, but I'm a very good copier. Copycat. So I basically copy the works that were done by very, very good videographers throughout Instagram. So then I will just copy their timeline and I'll add the videos and then I'll put marking saying, oh, okay, during this first scene it will be like the rings, the next scene will be this and that. So then during that time, when I go to film, I already know, oh, okay, I have to edit, I just put it together and then just give it to them. So most of the time, this is how we do things. And then it's actually expected upon that in weddings, right? This SDE is expected. If you don't deliver, I don't think you'll get the job lah.
Yeah.
All of the top photographers and videographers and even the lowest of the lowest do this. And then the pricing can range from, if you believe it or not, 800 ringgit also have, up to 12,000 ringgit just for photo. So this is a culture here, and that's why I say when I went into it, I did enjoy it. But it really took a toll on my mental health because very tiring. You have to wake up at 5.
Of course, yeah.
And then I did a back-to-back before. Meaning I finished the shoot at 12 and I had to get up again at 5 to continue the next day.
Another wedding.
Yeah, another wedding. And then the thing about the reason why Chinese weddings are so early is because some people have this feng shui stating that 3 or 4 or 5, right? The bride must enter the groom must enter the bride's house. If not, to have good fortune or whatever.
Mm.
We have a lot of minority groups and we have a lot of Chinese ethnic groups in Malaysia lah. So different ethnic groups, different timings, kind of shit lah.
Basically, what he's trying to explain is with Chinese weddings, even when they incorporate more Western styles, there is also a traditional part at the start of the day.
Tea
And then-
ceremonies are quintessential.
yeah,
Things
so
like that.
that's very
gate
cultural.
crashing as well. And
Yeah.
gate crashing is predetermined by the feng shui master or your own nan.
But yeah, so there's a whole part to it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who either they stay in the wedding field or they don't want to do it at all.
Yeah, I'm
You
one
know.
of them now.
Yeah, like you don't want to do it at all.
I want to do pre-wedding. I really enjoy pre-wedding.
Like engagements.
Yeah, no. Pre-wedding in a sense like proposals or basically pre-wedding shoots, meaning before their wedding they'll have like a photo shoot or a video shoot session.
Yep.
I enjoy doing that. I enjoy seeing them being in love. But more often than not, actually during the wedding itself, I don't think they're really in love because they're so stressed out by the ridiculous schedule. So yeah.
I wanna go back to a part that you said there just now, and it's more about how do you perceive this game? Do you perceive it as if it's a business, or do you prefer the art of it? I know you said that you are not a very creative person, but from your perspective, is it which one is more fun to you? The business end or the live production part?
I think the execution of what you can do versus what you see online. So if you see online, if you could emulate or recreate it by maybe 60 or 70%, I think it's very good already.
But why emulate?
I mean, it's very if everyone could be a creative, right, then there wouldn't be a fucking Mozart already lah. Generally,
Yeah.
it's if you can be very creative 1 out of 10 times, good for you. But more often than not, we're just regurgitating the same shit because it's a wedding. How crazy can it be? It only can be crazy if your client is rich lah. So to me, at least. But if you can do something different, it'll be quite difficult, especially with the schedule you have as a Malaysian wedding videographer, because you're so out of time, you know.
There's always stuff that you have to
rush and rush. You really don't really have time to actually think about it. So so that's why I take the easier way. I just copy it and then maybe polish it further.
So you don't know this probably, but what I mainly do is very documentary stuff. I don't do corporate stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of promo things, like telling somebody's story, right? And do you know Justin Porter?
Justin Porter?
Mm.
Is he a singer?
Oh.
No,
He's a
sorry.
quite well-known wedding videographer.
Okay.
They call it
I
wedding.
have to disclaim, I don't really take inspiration from Western
No, of course.
Yeah, because it cannot apply here. Very, very slow.
It's just the way his style, he's telling the story of the wedding. I love it because it's like a Netflix a reality show. I don't know if you know the black guy. He's quite buff.
Yeah.
Always excited about
Oh,
equipment.
okay. The one that carries this ridiculous gimbal.
The Easy Rig, yeah.
Oh, fuck off. I cannot lah.
Yeah.
I'm not that buff.
I wanna.
No one will pay for it.
Is there, like how important is equipment versus creative style then? I know you have a very interesting perspective.
Ian and I have a very...
No.
Yeah.
You don't have to preface that. I just want to hear your
okay.
point. Everyone has heard mine over the last 10 episodes.
In my humble, but most people would think a very obnoxious, a very out of touch opinion is this. Generally, people who say that equipment does not matter truly don't understand how the equipment works. I think, obviously, if you put a Kanju and a Ferrari together, the Ferrari will go faster. But if I were to choose, obviously, like I always tell people, like, oh, don't start with a crop sensor, start with a full frame. But how would you afford to do it? I'm just like, okay, maybe you can start with a lousier. Sorry. You can start with a crop sensor. Yes, I said it's lousy. But you can start with a crop sensor, but try your best to invest in a better lens so you can carry forward. So all these things, maybe in the beginning you have to make some capital, figure out a way to make money from it, and then after that, get a better lens, and then your body can slowly evolve. But generally for me, equipment matters so much because it really makes your life a lot easier. But obviously, if you don't have the means to buy the equipment, right, then there's no conversation to be said.
Yeah.
You have to just make full use of it. But if you had the budget and you were to say like, oh, maybe I'll chip out 2 to 3K to get a cheaper lens, I really don't think that's a good idea. This is your profession after all. And I really do appreciate good equipment, which is why I do enjoy using L lenses lah. Yeah. Oh, hello. In our podcast.
And those are the lenses that you've given or will hand over to.
Yeah, correct.
remainder
So
of the
I currently own a 50 35 1.4, 24 1.4, and yeah. Even my body is not a R5 one; it's just an R6, which is already very good in my humble opinion. And a 5D, and I used 5D. Yeah.
Mm.
So body not the equipment, lens fucking important. Lighting as well. Lighting. Previously, remember I had a pro photo. The lighting could be subjective. Now the Chinese lightings are very good, like from Ziyun, who was super good stuff.
You had the small one, right? Isn't it?
Sorry,
You said the small Molus.
the Molus X100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very very
So
good.
small. and
Super
powerful.
good, and it's so powerful.
It
like-
doesn't get dim.
but it does get overheated too quickly though. So you have to
Mm.
put like a extra cooler a bit at the back. From Shopee lah. I don't know if they know what Shopee is.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have to assume. So this is what I don't want you to assume is like only people from the West will hear this.
Yeah.
Because you are sharing your story, your opinion from your side.
Yeah.
So what I would love is your journey to
Yeah.
encourage people who are starting out, who
Yeah.
are where you're at, to
Yeah.
be where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, I worked a lot of odd jobs to get my first L lens.
Was it the 70-200?
Yeah. I was a waiter, all this kind of stuff.
You bought it before GST.
before GST, correct? And it was very cheap. I mean that time expensive lah, 7,000 ringgit. What the fuck, 16-year-old kid go buy. Then after that, so then during that time, it really made my life a lot. It really catapulted my career in a different way. And then I also felt very good. It's nice stuff. So I always tell, most of the time my team as well, I always tell them just save up a little. Don't buy like alang equipment, meaning half-baked equipment. If when you already have the same product, for example, let's say if you have a 50 1.8, then they wanted to go a little bit up higher, like 1.4, I just tell them to just save your money, make full use of the 1.8 as much as you can, understand your equipment. Then when you jump to 1.2, you'll be like, wow.
So
yeah, you can excel very well.
I want to get your opinion on this, because I spoke to many people about this specific thing. Now, some people do share your opinion, but it's to a certain extent.
Yeah, correct.
So I know a guy, Matthew, if you're watching this, he's a very creative guy, right? He's creative lead for one of the largest.
Kenneth is here.
Oh,
yeah.
Once again,
Matthew.
a friend is arriving, so he is here to witness the podcast live, and this happens very often. It's just raw moments like this. I haven't been in this place, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years now. I haven't been here. We used to hang out here a lot as well. This is his dining room. So yeah, very cool.
Sorry for all this intermission.
It's not. You're not the first. You won't be the last.
I mean, you are filming in my house.
And that's fine, because it's not a professional thing anyways.
Yeah.
I do this purely out of like passion and just want to help people.
Good for you. Yeah.
So Matthew is a creative director, I think, or producer, for one of the Dublin's largest production agency. He's been doing that for about 10 years already.
Okay.
One thing he said was, we discussed this, is that the modern and the vintage world is intersecting now.
Yeah, correct.
And the line is so fine, you can't really tell a difference anymore. And one of my favorite actually wedding photographers in Malaysia, I don't think you've heard this person, it's called Barney Wee. Love his style.
I know Johnson Wee.
But I do want to agree with you. The wedding style here is very similar
to
everyone. Everyone has a similar style.
Okay.
It's very similar. So having seen his, I was like, oh, I really like this because it's unique.
Yeah. I think because you are in Asia, people tend to flex a lot in weddings. That's how they show how prosperous and how happy they are. The more extravagant it is, the more happier you are. It's nice to see though. So
no, it is. I like the story behind the photo as well.
Yeah. But this is the consensus of it, generally. Is how extravagant, how crazy a stupid setup can be. Yeah, but it's quite
we joke about it actually. You buy a matte box purely for the reason of it looking cool. I don't know if it's the same here, but there's a lot of things where you can do for yourself in terms of where it's more optically pleasing to the client.
Yeah,
it's beneficial
of
to
course,
your business.
Yeah. I mean, you are in the business of.
Is it the same here?
After all, yeah, but I don't use a matte box out of practicality because it's just an additional weight. We have to run around too much, so no, I just use a lens hood. Standard lens hood.
When you video?
Yeah, when we video.
Do you use an ND, no?
I don't use NDs because we just bump up the shutter speed. It's just too inconvenient. Like when you have to move in and out, just bump up the. We're gonna slow mo it anyway.
You the same camera you're using video and photo?
Yeah, that's why I picked an R6. Actually, objectively, R6's low light is better than R5 in video, especially in high ISOs because of the megapixel count lah. But
it's lower lah.
Yeah, R6 is way lower. So I think it's only 22 or 23. But R5 is at 42 or 45. I
want to pull back a little bit of you saying about crop sensors as well.
Yeah.
Because most cinema cameras before, like the FS5 Mark II and the FS7, they're Super 35 sensors.
And I know what you're trying to say, but as a hybrid photographer, I value little things like low light versatility and bokeh. You know my style can be pretty vanilla because it's mostly bokeh, which is why I love 1.2. So like I said, it's not for everyone. If you enjoy crop sensor, so be it. It's fine. But I appreciate most of the benefits you can get from a full frame, especially when you put dollar to dollar. Like a Fuji is like 7K, and R6 is also a 7K if you buy used.
Unique to your style.
Yeah. So I think you'll get most value out of a full frame over a crop sensor.
Dave, one of my boys, his name is Dave.
Yeah.
He did his video business for many years.
Yeah.
Only recently bought a camera.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it for many years, but didn't have a camera, which is so funny.
Why?
Because he didn't need it.
How you film? Phone?
No. He hires DPs. So he's able to charge high enough to hire somebody to shoot for him.
No,
and
he's a producer, no?
So that's why I asked you, do you enjoy the game of the business more or the game of the art more?
I like to do it.
To be in it, right?
Be in it, yeah. That's the whole. I love. Actually, one of the best times of my life was in 2023, when I was we have another friend now.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So one of the best times in my life was actually in 2023 when I get to do everything I wanted to do as a photographer and videographer lah. But the only thing I didn't get to do was porn. But like.
Maybe what is his style of like humor? For context.
So I did corporate events, and I also did one of the largest, I think, political corporate events in Malaysia during that time, which is called Alam Berambe.
Are you sure you can speak about it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. It's up on Facebook. It's around 8,000 Slovakians. You can Google it up lah. And then after that, I also did all of the weddings I wanted to do. I also did my last running event, and then also I did a lot of commercials. I also took photos for one of Sarawak's oldest fast food chain, which was Sugar Bun. I love that shit. Could be good as called Jollibee, another topic for another time. But so 2023 was that. So
obviously you had a great year 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This is my thing now. You said that you were retired.
Yeah.
And having your experience and your portfolio, why did you leave? Because obviously you speak with so much passion.
I think it also stems from the fact that currently my current partner is in Melbourne lah. So I also felt like since I'm in coaching alone, right? I felt like it's also a time for me to let go of this career, because I think generally longevity wise, I would prefer to follow a safe career, which is engineering. But in an idealistic world, if I could keep doing this, right, without having a physical toll on my body, then I would do it. But when I did it, right, I was tired and unhealthy most of the time. So
did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, but there's a fine line between doing what you love and actually making a living out of it. I'm not saying that you can't make a living out of it. I'm just saying that for the amount of, you must really love it. And I don't know if I really love it enough 5 years or 10 years down the line, but I'm very sure that I with engineering, especially in the Asian context, right, you have a traditionally more have a career that is more that has a high longevity. Yeah. So
you think it's mainly due to pressures within the Southeast Asian region or within East Asian culture?
I think both lah. Generally, if you were to ask honestly if you ask an old lady on the street right now, who is more professional, an engineer or photographer? Let your imagination run wild.
Of course.
Yeah. So likewise, pressures from family also. I just decided to, okay, I've done whatever I need to do. Just let it go lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still enjoy it. I still enjoy shooting once in a while.
You do it for passion.
Yeah, if you see my Instagram, I post a lot of shit. Especially my Japan one. It's purely on fun, you know. Yeah. So yeah lah. That's about it. Yeah.
Do you think you ever go back to it?
No.
And why did you not decide to try to pursue it?
I did.
For example, in Singapore or maybe potentially somewhere else.
No, the thing is this: I went to Singapore with the intention of working as an engineer.
Yeah.
And I don't want to digress from that objective. So if the opportunity arises, it must be a very good opportunity.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll reject it. Yeah.
An opportunity to pursue your passion.
Yeah.
So the follow-up question is, how would an opportunity arise for you, or is it more of something that you have to actively create the opportunity?
I think most of the time opportunity is up to your
capacity.
Out of your capacity, you must actively look for it lah. If I don't think it's so easy to just give you, especially in Singapore, which is a very competitive place, which is even more competitive than Kuching, mind you.
Yeah.
So no lah. Yeah.
Somebody who is like 10 years younger than you, who is very clearly passionate about this,
go ahead.
Willing, would you
go ahead
encourage?
Go ahead. I think
what would you do different then? What would you tell her?
If I was very sure, then really do it properly.
What's that mean?
Like what I'm saying is, if I was an Asian parent, if you want to be a chef, make sure you're the best chef. If you're a photographer, make sure you're a damn good photographer. Make sure that you make it work lah. Don't be a half-baked photographer. Yeah. So just, I also like honestly, my true passion is actually photography and food. I want to be a chef. I want to be a photographer, but it's a bit too late now. If I wanted to, I could have dived full head in. Don't even need to go uni. Sure, become a photographer.
You know who is Alfred Molina?
No.
Dr. Octopus, the actor.
Yeah.
He actually has a very beautiful story about how he quit his job and started to be an actor. And that time in New York or in the UK, like his parents were Italian. His dad was like, "What are you doing? There's barely any money." There actually was barely any money. When he finally got successful, which is later in his later years, because he started late. His father was not able to see it.
So but like I said, not many people can be as fortunate as them. I don't know if I have that much of a passion to really go for it. Maybe because I've been already in
professional
in plateau for 7 months already.
Okay.
Okay. I've stopped doing it since June. My last event was in June 2020.
Since you last started your job, is it?
My job in Singapore, correct?
Yeah.
So so quite maybe I don't rule it out, but for the time being,
it's just a chapter that's closed for now.
There's a chapter that's closed. Exactly.
But in that decade that you were pursuing it, it's a crazy amount of experience.
Oh, fuck.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Crazy amount of money also. Not bad.
But clearly that wasn't the goal.
Of course, you should make money from photography.
No,
yeah.
I meant for you. You were chasing something.
I was chasing what
it
I
wasn't
wanted.
money.
It was a milestone in my life that I must achieve. I must be
Yeah.
able to do this, and I did it all.
Yeah.
And then after that, I considered, and I was like, okay, it's time to let go.
So with because we're coming to the end now. With the end of my podcast, I usually have a question from the previous person,
Right.
and then you get to give a question to the next person as well. Yeah. And this is from Thomas.
Okay. Hi,
So-
Thomas.
What is the
One
character?
of my favorite producers is Thomas Pico. He makes an excellent Premiere Pro. Sorry, then
A what?
it's a wine.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Well, what is the character trait in yourself that you thought is a weakness but actually is a strength?
My negativity. You know this.
Elaborate.
So this is something Ian and I differ from. He's more in tune to spiritual intervention.
Yep.
While I'm a practical guy. I make calculated risk, especially in my career. And some people may see it as why do you pull yourself down, saying like, oh, this is why do you always imagine the worst case scenario? You always stress over this kind of thing. But I'm just being a realist.
Mhm.
So I would usually figure out the worst case scenario first, and then I have to make calculated risk to ensure that I don't end up like that lah.
Yeah.
So more often than not, it won't happen. But sometimes I stress over it, and it could. Some people might say like you're overreacting, but I think it's a good thing lah.
To be like that.
To be like that, yeah, correct.
You think it makes you more careful with your steps?
Makes me more robust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your next question for the next person?
Oh fuck! I don't know. Canon or Sony?
No. Do more.
Canon or Sony?
We actually had one where we trolled this person.
Canon or
He said
Sony?
Trump or Kamala.
No. Canon or Sony?
No, make it a meaningful question.
Really meaningful?
Yeah.
Huh?
Something maybe you ask yourself or something you would think about a lot.
If you had a chance to start again, would you study overseas?
Instead of saying study, I would change
Study
it to
overseas.
Move. Yeah.
Study and move overseas. I didn't, and I was very sad about it. Turned out okay.
Is that something you still think about?
Yeah,
Sometimes?
of course.
You ever never thought of just packing up and just moving overseas?
You need money, you got money, meh? Don't use your parents' money, use your own money.
No, realistically.
Yeah, obviously my
Like-
results were very, very great.
No. I'm not talking about education anymore.
Yeah,
Like for work, like given your experience.
I'm in Singapore now.
Yeah, I know, but like obviously what you're trying to say was you wanted to go further, isn't it?
Of course,
Yeah.
I feel like my childhood was always in Sarawak only, but I know a lot of people because of this lah. But just make full use of it lah. But I just felt like there's a part of my life that I didn't really get to experience. Being independent overseas, and I don't know. I still think about it.
Was
once in a
Melbourne
while.
different?
Huh? 6 months, yeah. Nothing one peanut.
Would you have stayed?
If I could, why not?
Yeah.
I would. I think my life would be very different then.
Fine. Question. Something we talked about, I think about 10 years ago. And you said, well, maybe not 10, maybe like 2 years after we all went to uni, so 8 years ago. But at that time, you said you'd have just given up everything if you could. Would you still? To be outside?
Give
Would you?
up everything? What do you mean?
Everything that you have.
No lies. It's not very
It's different
It's not
already.
very responsible for me to do that. How do you give up? You mean all the money that your parents
No,
spent?
trade.
Huh?
Trader.
What do you mean?
Like this one experience is exponentially more valuable to you than what you've had already.
Oh, you mean all of the experience I've had in my 2 years in
At that
coaching,
time, you
and
said
then,
you
and then
would.
I would just give it all away just to restart and go to Melbourne.
At that time, you would.
I would.
But what about now?
Don't know. That's why. Don't know. But I think I've made full use of my time here.
Have you come to peace with that?
I've come to peace with God, honestly, for that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Makasih.
And I'm very grateful to be able to hear your story, even from like an outsider's perspective. Obviously, the way I'm questioning, I'm assuming that I'm not close to you. So,
thank you for having me. It's quite fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.